Hi, everybody. It is episode 542 of PodQuest.
Happy New Year!
And it's a new year. It's Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. I am Chris. With me is Drootin.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Yeah, I'm here.
I got the year right.
Nice. Tomorrow for work is gonna suck.
How often do you have to enter the date?
Depends.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like part of like everything you did, you had to enter the date, or if it was more like occasional.
No, it's probably more occasional than anything else, at least with this current work that I'm doing. It's a little bit more occasional than consistent.
Okay, that's not so bad then.
Yeah.
Because that's one of those, like, if you had to do it all the time, you're going to have that situation where, like, you do just autopilot into 2024, and then you're going to have a bunch of shit that's wrong that you have to go back and fix.
Yeah. Luckily, most of the dating I have to do, I don't need the year, so I should be fine.
Nice.
Because it's like current timing. So, like, it's like, oh, I did this on such and such day, so whoever's looking at it next knows, like, 10 to 15 days from now, we got to check it. But who knows? We'll see what happens. I don't want to work tomorrow. I don't.
Then don't. Call out dead.
I would love to. But they were already giving. It's the weirdest thing. We're so limited with only having like 4 people in a group. We're so limited on how we can take time off. And this past few weeks has been like somebody after another constantly off and having at least 1, if not 2 people off at a time. And it's been a little stressful, but it's been annoying. And one of my coworkers, her son is still off school Thursday and Friday. They don't go back until Monday next week. And so she wanted to take off. But for some reason, they're not letting her calculate in her 2025 PTO for tomorrow and Friday. She only had a day and a half left to take off tomorrow and Friday. So she's working a half day tomorrow and a full day off on Friday. When I'm like, well, it's 2025, so wouldn't that not matter? And you just pull from next year? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, it's weird. I don't know. I don't care. My first day,
as discussed many times before, your company sucks.
Yeah, my company's weird. My first day off is going to be February 28th, and that's all I care about.
Why the 28th?
Because that's Monster Hunter.
Oh.
Yep, that Friday. And I'm probably going to take that Monday off as well.
I will continue to forget why you're taking off on that date.
I know. Trust me. I know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
How were your holidays?
It was a holiday. It's been a rough couple of weeks for me. So it was a holiday.
True?
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. It's been fine.
Good.
How about yours, Cobb? Besides being COVID quarantine, how was your holidays?
Oh, it was totally fine. My sinus infection kind of cleared out on Thursday last week.
Nice.
Which was nice.
That was just in time for you to get COVID too. Like, how nice of it.
I never got it.
COVID. I know, which is crazy.
I mean, it happened last time too. Like, Erica had it and I didn't.
Yeah, that's wild. And I'm assuming at this point you guys didn't bother like quarantining or isolating or anything like that.
I mean, our house is really too small to really isolate. Like, one person would have to literally just spend all day in the bedroom and the other person would have to sleep on the sofa.
Yeah, that's generally what would happen.
And that sounds awful for both of us.
Yeah. I mean, with how many treatments there are for COVID, which, I mean, there's still the potential of long COVID and how much that'll fuck you up. But I don't know how well Paxlovid prevents long COVID.
Yeah. So a lot of the strain that's like around now doesn't hit as hard. Mm-hmm. Like, Erica was sick, but it was definitely more cold symptoms than when she had it 2 years ago and she was just fucking done for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's a virus doesn't aim to make you deathly ill. A virus just aims to continue to survive. So to make you just sick enough to where you don't feel good, but not and be able to spread it, but not so sick to where you can't do anything. Like, it's less advantageous for a virus to be killer, basically, for a virus. So like the natural life cycle of a virus is to not kill. It's to just make you sick so it continue to survive and evolve.
Yeah, but people have, there's antibodies and stuff people have now, and I think a lot of what goes around has just it is mutated for better and worse.
Yeah.
So she was sick the week, but like not like she was able to do stuff still. Like the worst part was she lost her sense of taste again. Mm-hmm. So like there just wasn't a lot of pleasure in like having any sort of meals.
Yeah.
But man, that sinus infection I had, I've had them a bunch of times. I've never had this happen before. On Thursday, I just felt like I had like a ton of like mucus and stuff built up, and I was just constantly blowing my nose, like for hours. At one point, like I finally blew it enough that like whatever came out, like I felt it hit the tissue. As gross as that sounds.
Oh, gross. Yep.
And then I was done. Like everything was fine after that. Like there was something in there that was just kind of waiting to get out. And like that one just like giant ball of just grossness kind of like finally evacuated itself. Mm-hmm. And then like, you know, everything was good. Like no, didn't have to blow my nose the rest of the day. Didn't have any sinus pressure the rest of the day. Like just totally good.
Yep. That sounds like me when I get a nosebleed. I'm just like, you know what? I just force it all out now. Which probably not the best.
No, that's
probably not the best. But like usually, what happens is I just get I call it a blood booger. I don't know. This might be a little graphic, but it's just like
picking your nose all the time, and you won't get those.
I don't. It's from the dry temperatures, and I have seasonal allergies all year round. It's just called allergies. So like I'll just like blow my nose to get that blood booger out as fast as possible because that's usually where a lot of the blood is gunked up behind it. And then it just kind of is good after that. And it's like a nosebleed used to last me 15, 20 minutes. Now lasts me like 2.
I don't know the last time I had a nosebleed.
I get them yearly during around this time of year, especially if it were to snow a lot more, I would get a lot more nosebleeds because of all the salt in the air.
Oh, yeah, for whatever reason, like even for as bad as my allergies are, like I just don't get nosebleeds.
Mm-hmm. I have never had a nosebleed, ever.
Like I've had them before, but like never because of like allergies or like blowing my nose. Like I've been hit in the face and gotten a bloody nose.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't count. That's...
Yeah, no, I get them from looking up the wrong way during this time of year.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great. And sometimes I can tell they're coming on because I can start to taste iron. I can start to taste it first.
That's even worse.
It's because it's post-nasal drip down into my throat before it's... Yeah. So it's a sinus-based nosebleed, for sure. It sucks. And that's graphic. And I don't know how I wonder how many people are cringing at this right now.
It's fine. But you know what? We'll move along. Rich, what is on the agenda?
On the agenda, I finished Immortals Fenyx Rising. I'm not playing a DLC, so this is just talk about the main game. Drew, you played some Marvel Rivals, and then we're gonna like go over our best and worst of 2024. I
didn't do worst. I just had best.
Well, I mean our thoughts on 2024's content in general. I'm gonna warn you, I don't even have like a top 5 because I went through my list and I didn't even do 5 new things last year.
That's impressive.
I didn't. As far as I know, the 3 new content things that I took in that came out in 2024 was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Helldivers 2, and Deadpool and Wolverine. That was it.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that. Unless it was Star Ocean Second Story R this year, or was it that 2024, 2023?
Google will probably tell you.
It was 2023, yeah.
There's also, I mean, there was that new Godzilla movie that came out this year.
Yeah, no, that came out the end of 2023.
No, the monster Godzilla with the fucking power glove.
The Godzilla X Kong. That's right. I forgot that came out this year. This year was very unmemorable, but also memorable to be bad.
Wasn't Monarch this year, or was that last year?
Monarch Legacy of Monsters was probably was like maybe both. If not, it was this year, but it's unmemorable. Like, I remember watching it. I don't remember when I watched it. And it's really a show that I was just like, all right, this exists.
No, it was mostly 2023. The final 2 episodes were in January of 24.
Yeah, so I didn't do... I mean, Bleach. I guess Bleach just ended on Saturday last week. So we can talk about Bleach and My Hero, but I'm not going to talk about the series' best or worst stuff. So yeah, there's that. There's that.
And do more things. Make that one of your goals for the year.
I did a bunch of things. I just didn't do a bunch of things that were new to the year.
Well, we've never actually specified that it had to be new to the year.
No, I've always done new to that year.
Oh,
That's how
well, that's
we
your fault.
always have done it. It's new to that. Like what 2020, it's the best of things from 2024 or that year that you did.
You know what it is? Like, usually just the stuff that ends up on my list, at least, are things from that year. Because it's either things I did during the year or things that were new to that year. Because I don't go back and do a lot of things from previous years.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. Most of the games I played this year were 2023 and older.
Well, play some new games.
I will.
No, you're going to spend 18 months playing fucking Monster Hunter.
And that's a fucking new game.
It's the same game as before. It's just got a new coat of paint.
No, it's a new game. It's a new game. Anyway. Guys, I finally finished Immortals Fenyx Rising. That took me way longer than I wanted it to. Because I started it in November.
Weren't you originally thinking it would be like a 2 or 3 week game and you'd be done before Christmas?
I thought I'd get through it by the end of November. But I ended up not. I think there might have been there was a lot of like not playing it or playing something else, or like I was doing a lot of only single day streams with it when I first started it, and like there was a lot of like not playing it when I wanted to play it. I feel like it was November when I started playing it. I don't actually fully remember.
You also didn't seem at the very beginning to like it as much as I feel like you ended up liking it. You didn't dislike it, but you just seemed a little more down on it initially.
It was mostly was that like I was just really set on Monster Hunter World and clearing, getting that clear for Monster Hunter World. And so I ended up spending a lot of time on that. Let's see. Yeah, maybe it was late November that I started playing it. Testing all. Let's see. Immortals Fenyx Rising, November 11th was my first session for Immortals Fenyx Rising.
That sounds right because it was like your post Halloween stuff.
It was I had to finish Resident Evil Hardcore 2. Resident Evil 2 Hardcore. And so what had happened it was the 11th was Fenyx Rising was my first stream of it. And then I fell into playing a lot of Monster Hunter. There was just because I wanted to finish all the fights and beat all the games. So I was doing Immortals once a week for a while. And then focusing on World, and then there was also the DLC the beta test for Wilds and stuff. So yeah, there was like a good 2-week period where I just played Monster Hunter. So that's why it took me longer to beat. But I had a blast. I think the story is fantastic. I love the world. I love the style of the world. Very Breath of the Wild, like cartoony style. So if you like Breath of the Wild's like art style and whatnot, you would definitely enjoy this game. The puzzles were great. I loved the puzzles. Then that's one thing that like made me excited to actually do all of the stuff in the game, where the puzzles made it fun to do. Whereas most games will like when you have X amount of collectible, like there's 3 different kinds of collectibles you can get, and they're all just like, oh, just go and grab them. This one it was like, oh, you have to figure out this whole puzzle area to do this thing, to get this collectible and to get that collectible. And yeah, at the beginning I'm like, man, there's a lot of different resources you need just to level up your character, but some of them became very, very, like, you got a lot of them very quickly later on in the game. And then after you unlocked all abilities, you were able to just make yourself generically stronger with everything, which was nice. And I ended up, my character was fully upgraded to the extent of having all of their abilities maxed out, or having all the abilities and all of the combos and everything, and weapons were maxed out, and I don't know if there's an end to being able to get the percentage increase with all the equipment. I didn't get that far, but they were fully maxed out, and it was a good time. I actually enjoyed doing everything in that game, because it's just I want to see more of the world. My final session, I was like, you know what, at this point, I got to a certain point, and I was like, my goal is to get to the top of this mountain, so then it's easier for me to go and do a bunch of things. And once you get to the top of the mountain, it basically like throws you into the end game. And I'm like, fuck it, let's just do it. Like, there's no reason for me to get everything now, because all of it, the unfortunate thing is the majority of everything you get is cosmetic based on the armor that you already have. So there's like, let's say 12 different pieces of armor in the game, but there's 4 different styles of that armor. So getting all of the chests is just going to get you a different style of each armor that you might have already gotten. Or you might get the new armor that you haven't picked up yet, and then the next 3 chests might be the different styles of each armor that you haven't gotten, or that you just got. So, like, yeah, it makes getting all the collectibles, it's just mostly cosmetic for the most part. But it was still worth it. The whole world was great. We had talked about Hephaestus' story. Ares' story was interesting. It was fun. There was a little bit of a twist at the end that you find out that spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played Fenyx Rising, a game from 2020. You find out that Phoenix is the child of Zeus, and that Prometheus, who was giving the prophecy to Zeus during the whole game, was actually lying to Zeus a bit and never actually told Zeus the truth, primarily about Phoenix. So Zeus didn't know that Phoenix was his daughter or son, depending on the character you play as. And you find out at the end, like, oh, you're a demigod. They initially are like, oh, that's Hermes' kid. And I'm like, oh, I'm a demigod. That makes sense. That's why Hermes is, like, helping me out. No, it wasn't. It was actually, you're Zeus's kid, and the prophecy is that you're going to kill Zeus. For being, and basically, like, at one, like, it's really cool that Zeus like, in this game grows and learns, like, oh, I'm a fucking terrible dad. Not only to my godchildren, but all to all my demigod children as well. I'm a terrible dad. And, like, it gives this, like, realism to what Greek mythology is. Like, yeah, Zeus, the god of gods, the king of all gods, the good guy, is not the good guy. Honestly, like, and it's always funny that they paint Hades to be a bad guy. Yes, Hades has done some bad things because, like, he was ignored by his family, so he kidnapped, what's her name? I can't remember the goddess that he kidnaps to get to, and keeps her in Hades.
Persephone, isn't it?
Is it Persephone? I think it's Persephone. He kidnaps her to marry her because he loves her and keep her in Hades, but, like, yeah, that's bad. But, like, he was just doing it because he was bored, alone, by himself, ignored by everyone.
I mean, like, isn't it, like, I feel like Hades is made to be the villain in, like, the pop culture-y stuff, but in the actual, like, Greek mythology, it's less so?
In the actual Greek mythology, Hades, like, they're all bad. They're all bad. All the gods are bad. Even if they're good, they're bad. In one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I've gone over, like, Hera and being, like, I've gone over Hera. I've talked about this, how Hercules is actually supposed to be pronounced Heracles because he was named after Hera. Because Heracles' mom wanted to apologize for fucking Zeus and having a baby with Zeus, so they named Heracles after Hera as, like, an homage and to honor. Hera took that as a fuck you to her, and then doomed Heracles for the rest of his life, and put him through all of his trials. Like, instead of being mad at Zeus, which she was mad at Zeus, but making Zeus pay for it, she made the love child of Zeus pay for it, who was only named after her to honor her and not to mock her. But she took it as mocking. Like, all of the Greek gods suck. They all suck. They're all terrible, terrible beings. But yeah, it was a great wrap up. It was a fun final sequence. When it came to the final boss, the boss is huge, and I started to get upset. I was like, this better be a fun fight. It better not be like a gimmicky fight. It wasn't. It was like a straightforward fight the boss. You end up having to fight the boss twice, and the second time, all the gods come in and help you. So you knock the boss's health a quarter of the way, and then the gods come down, or like an eighth of the way, the gods come down and do like 300,000 damage or something like that. And then you tick down his health a little bit more, and then the next god comes down and do a 300,000 damage. It was really cool that they did that. And it was just like a fun wrap up. It's unfortunate that the DLCs aren't connected directly into the game, and they're like a different menu option, and they also don't really have the best reception. They're generally not that great. Then I'm just like, I don't want to play something bad after I just played something that was really good.
Which, yeah, that is totally valid.
But I suggest, if you like Greek mythology, if you like, say, God of War and Breath of the Wild, this would be a really good game for you to jump into. And I had a lot of fun. Just my only suggestion, play with the female character, not the male character, because at least at the beginning of the game, the way he was voiced made him sound like an idiot and a doofus, and I did not like that. Now I don't know how the female voice actress does at the very beginning of the game because I switched as soon as I had the chance to. So I don't know if she's also like an idiot and a doofus the first 2 hours of the game. I don't know. But the male character, the way they voiced him was just bad. That's the only character I thought was voiced very poorly, was the male character of Phoenix.
So the game lets you just change?
Yeah, you can, when you get to the Temple of the Gods, you can just change your hairstyle and your character makeup and everything. So you can change from male to female if you don't like it. Which I was happy about because I didn't want to restart, and I was not going to be able to continue to play with that character. I was like, this voice acting is terrible for him. I would have turned his voice off if I could. And I don't think it's the voice acting. I think it's just the direction he was given. I think he's probably I don't know who did it, but I'm sure he's a fine voice actor. It's just his direction was bad. It was like, oh, I'm an idiot and a doofus, and I'm kind of comedic. And it's like, no, it's bad. This is uncomfortable. I don't like it. But yeah, it was. I'm glad I beat it. It took me a little bit longer, but I'm glad I beat it. I got to let Matt know to lend me the games that he said, to bring the games he said he's going to lend me on Friday, so that I can get into Armored Core and Ghost.
Oh, that's right. I thought you were gonna give Armored Core a shot.
Yeah, so I think I haven't decided yet. I'm gonna text him and tell him to bring them both, and my goal would be to beat them both before Monster Hunter. But I think I'm gonna do Armored Core first. But at the same time, I think I want to do Ghost of Tsushima first, since that one's the longer of the two. So that this way, if I'm more likely to beat that in 2 months than I am to beat it in a month and a half, if that makes sense. Because Armored Core is only like 20 hours long, so I might be able to get that in like 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima is it's a big open world game, so it's going to be like 50 hours for me, minimum.
Yeah, that's true. Because minimum is the right word. And that's Sunday, not Friday. Also,
it's Sunday. Whatever. I think I put it in my calendar, for whatever day.
Well, anything else about Fenyx Rising though?
No, it's a great game. It would be nice if they make another one, but I don't think they are because I don't think it got well reception. Especially I don't think the DLC got a good enough reception for them to push for a new set of storylines. I don't really know I know where they could go from here, but I also don't really know where they could go from here. So it's just it sucks that it's over, but it was a good game. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I finally got to play it. It was a launch title during Switch, I think. When the Switch first came out, it was. I think we talked about this or something like that.
No, it was.
It was a Stadia launch title. Yeah,
it is not that old to be a Switch launch title.
But it was originally I was going to get it on Switch, and I'm glad I ended up getting it on PC because I've seen people playing it on Switch, and it just doesn't look great.
Which it doesn't look uncommon for Switch games.
It doesn't look as endearing as it does on the PC.
It did actually. I'm looking at like the review scores for it, and like it actually did review fairly well. Mm-hmm. I think the problem was like it reviewed well, but didn't necessarily get a lot of sales.
Yeah,
and it was pushed pretty heavy on Stadia, and people just didn't use Stadia. So I think a lot of people just didn't even necessarily know it was available elsewhere. Yeah. Because all of the kind of like push for it was to use Stadia.
Yeah, which makes sense.
But at least you got to play this one.
Yeah. But speaking of voice acting, there's a game that's got great voice acting. That's Marvel Rivals.
Does it?
It does.
I'm going to just kind of disagree with that.
Anytime, like, it is, the callouts are, like, there's a lot, but
callouts are one of the biggest issues I have with that game. But
every time I'm, like, all the voices and the character, like, the actors they chose to play each character and all the voices themselves, they are good. They're great voices, and they're great voice. It's a great VO, but it's just the callouts and how often you're hearing, like, what's her name? Scarlet Witch going pure chaos as she's using her ultimate. It does get a little over the top, but the voice acting itself, I think, is fantastic.
Could also somebody remind me what Marvel Rivals is? I recognize the name, but right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Marvel Overwatch, yeah.
It's Marvel Overwatch, but it's third person, so like it's way harder to tell what's going on a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, having played Overwatch, that sounds like it would be a lot.
My complaint about the call-outs is they've recorded one call-out for each ability. It doesn't matter which team they're on. the same ultimate call out happens no matter which team is using it, which is bad. That's terrible. Overwatch figured that out immediately. Like, there's a different call out for every ultimate, depending if it's your team or the other team using it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. It's a subtle thing and you won't really notice, but I played for like 3 hours. Almost every game is the exact same set of characters.
Yeah.
So you start to realize, there's one meta. Yeah, there's like 30 characters, 6 get picked. Like, or how many other characters there are. Fucking nobody picks 90% of them.
I think that's in line as to why there's maybe only one call out for like each character for their team, is because I don't know. Let me finish.
Okay.
I don't know how many characters were in Overwatch at launch, but there are a fucking boatload of characters in Marvel Rivals.
I think many as are in Marvel.
I feel like maybe they expected there to be more than one single team that everyone plays as. Like,
regardless, you need to have multiple voice lines for the opposite teams.
Or maybe not have all playable characters on both teams and just manage the teams better.
I mean, if you made it more like a like League of Legends type thing or Dota, where only each character could only be on one team, then you can have only the one voice line. But if both teams can have the same characters, it's like malpractice to not have different voice lines. Because there was a game where I was playing Magneto, I used my ultimate, and then like just after, the other team's Magneto used their ultimate. It was the same voice line. I'm like, how is that possible? That's insane.
I mean, I don't know who made the game. I think it's a Chinese company that made the game. So I don't really know how like connected to like Overwatch they were, or how much they paid attention to that. I mean, the game is still in its infancy. Hopefully, maybe they change that. Hopefully, they hire some voice actor, get the voice actors to re-record some lines. But I mean, maybe it's a continuing thing. And I only say that I think it's a Chinese-run company because apparently, if you go in there and type in chat "free Taiwan" or "free Beijing," it says that you can't say that.
It is. It's NetEase. They're a massive company. Like, in fact, actually, NetEase worked with Blizzard to bring Overwatch to China.
Okay.
So
that tracks.
They should really know that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, an interesting thing they put in that turns out to just really be a bad idea in the long run is having some destructible parts of the environment.
Yeah.
It's just nonsense. It's there just to have like a tick on a like list of features. There's times where things fall down and literally are just now in your way. There was one game I was in, a piece of environment falls into like the capture point, and now as you're trying to protect that capture point, you have to remember to jump over it. Like, you can't just walk over the thing. It's big enough that it gets in your way, but it was also like low enough where it's kind of out of your line of sight, especially if you're using a larger character. Like, I was playing as Groot mostly because the Groot was pretty simple to figure out, kind of. And I would just keep losing sight of this giant chunk, like U-shaped chunk of stuff that now just randomly was there all of a sudden, and I would get stuck on it and be like, why can't that thing's there, and I have to remember to jump over it.
Well, when half the characters can fly, it doesn't matter what's on the ground.
I mean, fair.
Literally,
you're not wrong.
I think more than half those characters can fly. I might be over-exaggerating a bit, but of the characters I see played, because like we've said, the meta for this game is very small, more than half of them are flyers. So, like, doesn't matter what's in the air, or on the ground.
But yeah, I don't know. Like there's kind of just too much going on in that game, especially in third person, that I was, after I played that one session, I was like, okay, I'm done, and uninstalled it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'd rather go back to playing Overwatch.
Yeah, and like I feel like Overwatch did, like I obviously can't compare it, but like Overwatch kind of nailed the formula on it, kind of out of the gate, and then tightened it up in a lot of ways. I don't know what Overwatch 2 ended up looking like when it came to like general gameplay stuff.
I imagine
it was identical.
Basically, it's over. It's 5v5 instead of 6v6. Like,
Okay, so like I feel like a lot of other games are like they're trying to copy it without copying it. So like they're putting like their own twists on things, and it doesn't always work out.
yeah.
Like third person for that style of game just seems like it would be a little too chaotic to keep track of.
Mm-hmm.
But
and okay, so for comparison, there were 21 characters in Overwatch at launch. There's 33 characters in Marvel Rivals. So there's 12 more characters in Marvel. But
what were the 6 characters that you saw getting used constantly, if you remember?
I mean, Magneto.
Generally, what I see is Magneto, Scarlet Witch, Punisher, Storm.
Spider-Man was in every game. And broken.
I more often than not see Penny Parker than Spider-Man.
I mean, it was a lot of both.
When I'm watching, when I'm watching competitive, I don't watch too hard, but like I'll be watching Xeno Alien play, and he does ranked, and it's generally I hear a lot more Penny Parker than I do Peter Parker. Hulk and Banner.
Wait, does Hulk actually turn into Banner, or is Banner a separate character?
Hulk is basically D.Va from Overwatch, where it starts with as Hulk, and like D.Va starts in the mech, has X amount of health, then becomes Bruce Banner. Hulk becomes Bruce Banner. D.Va gets launched out of the mech, and they both have a little pistol. Like it's literally D.Va.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Is there also like a
Except Hulk is melee before, but
is there like a an ultimate where you just kind of like sacrifice the Hulk and then just get Banner?
Oh, I don't know, maybe.
Because isn't that D.Va's ultimate? Doesn't D.Va's ultimate shout the suit at the enemy to explode, and then you just control D.Va after that?
Yep. And then once
Hulk's ultimate, he basically rages. He doesn't turn into Banner afterwards. I don't think so. I don't think that mechanic is
okay.
And
that would be funny if it was.
Surprisingly, one of the other more common meta characters I think I see is Jeff, the land shark.
Well, I mean, for good reason. He's a land shark.
Yeah, he's a healer, a support in this one, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And like his ultimate is pretty OP, especially depending on the stage you're on, because he can go into it, use it, and he eats everyone up, and then spits them out after a while. And so you can actually spit everyone off the level. If you can get as many people as you grab, you can get to the edge of the level and spit them off the edge of the level. If they're not flyers, they fall and die.
I mean, so like when I played, I can tell you, I never saw Adam Warlock, Black Panther, Black Widow, Doctor Strange, Hawkeye.
I see
Loki,
Doctor Strange
Luna,
kind of
Magic, Luna Snow, Magic, Namor. Maybe I saw Namor once.
Wolverine. You don't see Wolverine at all.
I saw Wolverine once.
Apparently, he's like terrible.
Star-Lord got played a bunch.
Yeah, Star-Lord's very meta.
Wolverine is pretty terrible, but is also like brokenly fast at times. Like it just gets to your back line, and if you're good with meleeing, like can just blitz through. I never saw Storm. I never saw Squirrel Girl, and I don't think I saw another Venom outside of the times I played Venom. So, like more than half the characters nobody played even once. I never saw Winter Soldier either. Like,
yes. And you'd think with 33 characters or whatever it was he said that that the meta would be a little bit more spread out. But I remember watching with Xeno Alien. There was an actual official, like literally this game's been out for 2 months officially, and there was an MLG tournament going on with rivals, and the teams were basically the same makeup for all like 6 matches or whatever, for all the different matches of the bracket. There was basically the same like two teams, maybe change 1 or 2 characters. And so it's just like there's one meta, and that sucks. That sucks for a game like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it is something that they're trying to balance, or if it's one of those games where the game's there, people are playing it, they're making money, so why bother?
I mean, you would hope they're trying to balance it. But yeah, like it has only been out, like actually officially out a month. The official release was December 6th, but it's been out in beta and such for at least another month and a half before that.
Is it free to play?
Yeah, it's free. Otherwise, I wouldn't have played it. Like I'd have been like, I have Overwatch. Like If you want to play Overwatch, I'll just play Overwatch. But oh yeah, geez, it's been in closed betas at least since July, so they've had 5 months to kind of balance things out.
The closed beta started in July and ended in August. It wasn't straight through.
Right, but I mean, they had beta. I'm sure they did other test things in between.
Yeah, and look, I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying, like, the closed beta was only like a month or two, and they didn't have all the available characters in there. So I remember seeing a lot more of the non-meta characters in the closed beta. I was seeing a lot of Namor. I was seeing a lot of Black Widow and shit like that. They didn't have all the 33 characters in the closed beta when it was live. So I don't know. I don't make games. I don't make these decisions. But I agree with you with the meta sense that, like, and the call outs. It's just you hear the same call outs over and over, and now just like, I don't know. It's funny. I was watching Alien play. He was doing a big celebration or something for reaching 600 followers, and our friend Yo Potato went on and literally spent the entire time complaining about the game. I'm just like, why are you playing then? If you're gonna,
because
the
why
whole
not,
time,
right?
literally the whole time, he was just like, man, the movement's nothing like Overwatch's movement's better. This is much better in Overwatch, blah, 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 and just shitting on the game. I'm like, then just stop playing. If you don't like it, stop playing.
I mean, that is fair. Also, I'm just looking at the list of characters, and I gotta say, like, while like people aren't using them, like they at least seem to have gone like.
They went very niche with a lot of these characters.
Like, yeah, like it's not all just like the Avengers and popular X-Men characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have those, but then you also have like actually some pretty new characters too. Like Luna Snow is relatively new. Spider-Punk and Chasm are both new, even if they are just variants on Spider-Man.
Spider-Punk's in this?
Yeah.
It's just a skin for Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, then. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and even some of the voice actors, like there's well-known people that voice acted these characters previously. Like it looks like they got most of the actors that did the characters for the Avengers game.
Yeah, and they got what's his name who does Spider-Man from the Spider-Man game?
Yeah.
Yuri, right?
And Steve Bloom is doing Wolverine.
Steve Bloom's Wolverine. They got the Liam O'Brien is
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. I think they do have Travis as Thor.
Yeah, Travis is Thor. Laura Bailey is Black Widow.
Yeah.
Josh Keaton, who has voiced Spider-Man before, is Iron Man. Mm-hmm. Troy Baker is Loki.
Yeah, it's a great voice cast, and the voice acting itself is great. But the call-outs are too much. It's just way too much. That was that was something that like I turned off on some Monster Hunter, like on Rise. It was a new thing on Rise to have call-outs, and you could actually tell it to have it like all the time, some of the time, a little bit of the time, and then never at all. And I had it like cut down to like a little bit. So it's like, all right, every once in a while I'll get a call-out, that's fine. I don't need it every time I use an ultimate ability or some shit like that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the problem with a game like this is...
You need to have the audio call-outs.
Yeah.
Like, but also, like, you run into that issue where, like, Drew, you were saying, like, it's the same no matter what, so you're just hearing the same... 6 lines over and over because people aren't dipping into these other characters, and then it's just repetitive, and it's not like they didn't bring these actors in to record actual dialogue. They're there to just like do like the one-liners, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like games like this, I like the idea of having the entire cast across everyone. I like if you were to change it and have the Brotherhood on one side and the Avengers on the other, like, I don't like that. I like having Magneto and Captain America working together on the bad guy team or whatever. But maybe change it up, set up like a snake draft or something like that. Like a drafting system so that each team, like, you go back and forth picking your team or something like that. Like, or lock away the characters that the other team picked. So, yeah, the first game of the match, or like right as the match starts, each character drafts each player drafts their characters, and then you lock away those characters. And so if you switch between mid-match, you can switch to a different character that's not already being played. Make it so that there's no 2 storms on the same match or some shit like that. That's where I think this game could go well, and if it can get fixed. If they can do that and lock away and make it so it's not two of the same characters fighting against each other, because that also loses me in a game. If I'm playing it like,
understandably,
it's different. It's different for like Apex, where it's all long range, and like you don't really always have to recognize the character, and the likelihood of running into somebody else that's your character. I often never really ran into the same characters I was, but a game like this where it's all close in and the meta is so small, you need to lock away characters so other characters are used, but also make it so that like I'm not fighting as Storm another Storm. I hate that. I hate that feeling. Those are my least favorite fights in a fighting game, or the mirror fights when you fought your character just a different skin color.
I mean that usually, like, it's not that they were bad, but like that usually is kind of boring because it's like, cool, you're both just going to do the same things to each other, and it's usually either the person that's more experienced with the character, or just if you're both actually like very good with them, it's just who gets lucky.
Yeah,
and just like it didn't seem to me that there's enough variance in the character abilities to where on the different map types, or the different mode types, it made any difference what your team was. Whereas in like Overwatch, you have some characters like Torbjorn or whatever that are very good when you're playing in a mode where you're defending a specific point, and because he can throw out the turrets. There's not like a turret person. There's not. There's
Punisher.
Oh, Punisher! Does he have turrets?
Punisher throws out turrets that both sit there, and you can a placement that you can use, as well as turrets that just shoot on their own automatically.
Okay, I mean nobody ever played as Punisher, so
exactly.
Didn't know. But
I like the idea of a competitive game where like all characters are viable in all maps. Because then it doesn't force somebody to play somebody they're not good with because it's a certain map that like, oh well, Hulk sucks here, so I can't play as Hulk. Like you need to make it so that every character is good to play in every map. But then again, that locks away the meta, and then
that becomes, well, they're cool. These are the characters that are good. Just play the characters that are good.
Yeah,
like. Just make there be 6 characters. Like, why have 33 characters if 8 get picked? Like, the one thing I'll say that I do like that they have in Marvel Rivals is like team up abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and both specific abilities that you can use only if you have 2 specific characters together, and then sometimes like kind of passive things. Like if someone is playing as Groot, either Rocket Raccoon or Jeff can ride on Groot, and it gives a damage reduction boost.
Yeah.
And I think a speed boost to Groot. I forget, but it definitely gives a damage reduction boost. And it was like, oh, cool. Yeah, of course Rocket Raccoon should be able to ride on Groot. Like,
but like when I'm watching them play competitive, that's not often that you're seeing a lot of these team ups.
No, and it's like they have good ideas that nobody uses because the meta just doesn't make them useful.
Yeah.
And then bad ideas that are like, okay, you put this to have a checklist item on.
Yeah. Like, and I know I keep bringing back Alien Stream, but it's like my best reference. When he did his customs match, because he's not diamond. He's diamond. He's not platinum yet, but he's diamond in ranking. Like they made sure like their rules were, especially since there's a bunch of newbies or people that don't play as much. They're like no meta characters for the professionals. No meta characters. And so they all had to play different characters, and you got to see those things that I didn't know really happened in the game.
Which that's actually kind of cool. I didn't know like it had that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like they do some things where they dive deep into like Marvel lore of like, oh yeah, of course these two should do a thing together. But then, other things, it's like, yeah, no, whatever. This is a dumb thing they threw in there because they could.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that is also very comic booky. Like something deep in lore and then something just over the top and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So at least it's on brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else either of you guys want to say about Marvel Rising? Marvel Rivals? Marvel Rising, I think, is something else.
Probably.
I think it's like a cartoon series, maybe?
But no, that's all. Like, I'll probably never play it again.
Nice. Like, I got my fill. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm gonna play Overwatch until I die.
Marvel Rising Secret Warriors is a 2018 action comedy cartoon.
Okay.
There you go.
Hey, look at that. I definitely didn't do it because of that. I think I did it because we also just talked about Phoenix Rising. But still, happy accidents. So, do you guys want to talk about the best and Richie's worst of 2024?
Yeah. Let's just talk about 2024 and how it went. Like I said, I don't have like a set number of things, because I didn't do a lot from this year. So I don't know how you guys want to handle it. If you just want to go down a list, or you just want to talk about it.
Well, we can just kind of round robin it until people run out of things.
Yeah.
I just did 5 things that I enjoyed from the year.
Mm-hmm.
Or Drew, what did you make a list of things?
I don't have like a super specific list. I kind of only have like 3 things because some of them I'll just lump a bunch together.
Yeah, I sat down and like thought about it, and like it was one of those I tried to not do like lumping a bunch of like things together. So I tried to just pick like specific things, and in a lot of cases it was more like events than media, because
I mean
yeah,
like,
I spent May through August in my house.
Oh, yeah, you really couldn't do anything else.
So, like, that's part of the reason why there wasn't a lot done throughout this year. I spent May through August in my house, and the one vacation I went to was to a wedding with where I only knew 2 people and barely had time to spend with them because they were in the wedding.
Yeah, which that sucks.
Yeah, it was a rough time.
Well, since I apparently have the most, I'm going to get started. I'm going to get this one out before Drew can. Seeing Boys Night Out again was probably the best thing this year.
Yeah, definitely up there.
Nice.
Like there were like I did cool stuff this year. But like getting to see them after 17 years, was just fucking incredible.
Yep.
And plus that concert just like was one of the best concerts of the year, if not the best concert of the year.
Yeah, definitely up there for me as well.
That
whole quick whirlwind trip was awesome.
Yeah, like that was a lot of fun. It was cold as shit, but like it was still a good time, and like like met cool people that were like from like the BNO Patreon. Like hung out at that bar after party thing later than we probably should have, considering we had the flight in the morning.
Yeah, it wound up not being all that bad.
No, it really wasn't. And then just the actual like concerts are fun generally. Like even seeing a band you don't really know, as long as they don't suck at what they're doing, it can be a fun time. But like the crowd definitely impacts that in a big way. Like a boring crowd is like it brings the energy levels down. Like Drew, you were at the Bayside show last year at Union Transfer, where like it wasn't a bad show, but like the crowd was just not super into it.
Yeah.
Even the band said a few times, like, you guys seem tired tonight. When I saw them again with Finch and Armor for Sleep this past spring at Electric Factory, like the crowd was way more into it. Like it was a way more energetic and fun show because of that. And that B&O show, like everyone was just super fucking into it. Like the crowd knew almost every word to every song, and it was just a cool fucking experience.
Some of them people didn't know fuck all about Black Dog's songs, though.
I mean, almost nobody in that crowd knew Black Dogs. There were like 7 of us.
It's fair. It was like the Patreon people knew fucking Black Dogs.
Yeah. Even then, like, I do not know Black Dogs that well. Like, I listened to it a bunch, like, when it dropped. And, like, some of those songs are really good. And, unfortunately, the one I like the most is Of Waves. And that is not one that they've been playing.
I mean, ironically, that's not one of the ones I like the most, even though that's the one I have a tattoo for from that album.
Yeah. Like, the songs that they were playing, like, both of them, very good songs. I enjoy them. But, like, I would have known more of the song had they played, like, Black Dogs. Or, I'm sorry, Of Waves.
Fair.
But, like, I still knew those songs because I listened to the shit out of it when that album dropped almost a decade ago.
I know. It's crazy that it's that long ago.
But, yeah, still, awesome time. Glad I got to do it. Drew, I'm glad you were there, too, I guess.
Thanks.
All honorable mentions off of that a little bit with rediscovering Jersey Calling, one of the bands that literally as a teenager was my favorite band. And then I mean they're a small local band and like they're friends with you guys and whatnot. That like I always saw them as like a band and I was like, "Oh man, these guys are awesome." And now they're back and I'm happy and kind of friends with them and I like it.
And really, they're just mediocre at best. Let's be honest.
Are you
their
gonna
comeback in the last couple of years has been dope to be along with.
Especially
it's been awesome.
Seeing them actually like get to play some like fairly big things. Like even
they're fucking going on tour to Tennessee this year. Like
so that is awesome.
Yeah.
It's just 2 shows.
I know, but still, it's a tour. Okay.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is the cool thing about that is one of the people that I don't know if she necessarily worked at MMR or if she was just part of like the Beasley Media family in general.
Fair. Yeah.
But one of the DJs that actually was kind of instrumental in them getting local shots last year. She moved to Nashville and has like a radio show in Nashville. And that's actually what they're going for. Like they're going down there to do like an interview with her on the air, probably like do like a little in studio performance, and then like play 2 shows one in Nashville, and I think one if they've actually lined it up in like the surrounding area, probably like on the way back to New Jersey. But it's cool that like they have started making some of those connections outside of the area because I believe they're also doing something similar in like the Boston area.
So I've listened to them on my stream twice now. Once during Cookie stream and once last night. And I introduced a viewer/other streamer to them. And she was like, "What is this band? This band's great. I love them." And I was like, "Oh, it's Jersey Calling, local band, blah, blah, blah." She's from South Dakota. And she started listening to them on her stream. And then apparently went to somebody at work and was like, "Have you ever heard of this band, Jersey Calling?" And he's like, "Yeah, where have you been this whole time?" Apparently, there's people in South Dakota that know them. But I also brought them a new listen to South Dakota. So I was going to actually tell them next time, if like any of your listens that you get from South Dakota, that's on me.
Yeah, and like it like actually like kind of a sweet story. So Sean, their guitarist, does like solo like cover acoustic stuff around. He's played this brewery down in Delaware a few times, and we went to see him the weekend of PAX. He ended up like sending Erica and I a message like as we were leaving PAX the one night. It was just like, "Hey guys, like I'm playing like from X to Y. If you guys feel like making the drive down." So we drove down there and saw him, and we were talking to him kind of like between his sets. And actually, as he was going back up, and mentioned that like both of us ended up having Jersey Calling on our like Wrapped for Spotify. And he kind of looked at it. He's like, "Wait, really? Like, I know you guys like listened, but I didn't think you actually like listened, like that you enjoyed it. I thought you just played it as like, you know, because we're friends and you're you know supporting us." I'm like, "No, dude, like we actually like the music." And like Erica and I both showed him like our Wrapped with them on there, and like you could see on his face like he was genuinely like touched that like people are listening to it enough that it's showing up on that stuff.
If because I was late to the game of learning that or re-listening to them that like if it was any sooner they definitely would have been on my YouTube recap for sure. But they just lost out because it has been Hotel.
Yeah, no, we
understandable.
We just listened to them because they were bad. No, like of course we've listened to them because we liked them.
Yeah,
like liked their music.
Yeah, like literally, like I've been listening to at least 3 of them play music for half of my life.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But yeah, that has been like a cool thing to like see again. Drew, what do you got since Richie just did like an honorable mention?
Well, and since we already touched on the Canada trip, and then also like me going to see that B&O down in Birmingham was fucking wild fun trip that absolutely had to happen, and you know talking with Connor there, that was awesome. But I'll just start with Balatro, the game that's eaten like my entire year. I've apparently played almost 300 hours of it.
Holy shit.
Although I don't know if there have been times, and there probably have been, where I've left the Switch on with Balatro technically running. But I also wouldn't be shocked if I've played most of that 300 hours is real.
Now, are you only playing on Switch, or do you have it did you get like the mobile version or anything like that?
I've only played it on Switch.
Okay.
I have, because we got the Switch Lite back during COVID when that was all you could get were the Switch Lites. And then
right.
eventually got an actual Switch for Sarah. So I just took over the Switch Lite to play the handful of occasional things on there. Shit like that where I don't want to necessarily play it on my PC or a TV. And it came out on everything other than mobile like 9 months ago, as opposed to 2 months ago. So, I've been playing that most of the year, and I still haven't done everything. Still working on them challenges now, and I've not cleared a gold stakes run. That's fucking hard.
Yeah, because what was that high score or like high hand you got? It was like 3 billion or something like that.
Yeah. Although, I've seen people do the thing that I've been able to like mentally picture of, oh yeah, if you just have all steel and or glass kings and whatever set of jokers to 1 times 1.5 every king that you keep in your hand. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is a thing I've tried to do, but have never been able to successfully pull off, and see them literally like break the game because they have so many cards and so many points. So still working towards that goal too, but the challenges are fun and weird. Like the one I've been stuck on is you can only use a card. A card only counts for points once when you play it. Then the second time it doesn't count as any points. Like you can still use it, but it doesn't count as chips. Like you don't get the 10 for playing a 10 or whatever. So that's hard to like balance out, because at some point, like you can add new cards, but once you play that card, it's not worth anything anymore. So it's the balancing act of trying to get jokers, multiply stuff enough to where you don't care how many chips you get, because you're just going to multiply it by a shitload. But it's a mess. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have not played nearly as much of that game as you, but like, I don't know that I don't think I ever actually managed to complete like a full thing. Like, I've definitely gotten knocked out like near the end of like no, you know what? I did. I got through one, definitely.
Okay.
But like for the most part, I usually like, how many is it? 7 rounds?
8.
I probably get to round 6 or 7 pretty consistently, and then fuck up like. But also like I haven't played in months. But that was before, like, last time we talked about it, you had mentioned, like, oh, you can rearrange jokers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't know that at the time. Like, I thought once you dropped the joker, like, that was it. And, like, those jokers, like, kind of make or break the runs.
Mm-hmm. And if you weren't thinking about it, and it took me plenty of runs to realize, oh, shit, I can rearrange them. And if you're not thinking about it, you need the plus jokers before the multiply jokers. Otherwise, like, the multiply isn't as effective.
Yeah. And like usually I was winning by having just mostly like multiply ones and just a lot of luck with like I forget what they're called, like the special cards, the cards themselves that do like a little extra.
Yeah.
Or by just getting like really good hands. And that's usually where I lost too, was like having those hands where it's like, okay, well, if you having a joker that's like, oh, if you discard all of your cards, it like raises the thing, and then trying too hard to get that one hand that would win it.
Yep.
And like basically running out of discards, and then also not having anything really to play, and then just like throwing out like a pair. And like I think that one of the worst ones I had was like I didn't run out of like actual cards in my deck, but I ran out of discards. I was just not getting anything, and the like stipulation on that one was like you didn't get points for like a certain type of hand, and that was the only fucking hand I could play.
Oh, yeah. It was probably the one where you can't play the same hand twice, and you've played it, and now like, well, the only thing I have left that would get me enough points is going to be that same hand, and I can't discard anything, and now I'm fucked. That totally happens to me on these like higher stakes runs. It's like, oh, I'm now at the boss, and yeah, this boss is, oh, you can only, or it's like you can either only just play one hand entirely, and it's like, oh, well, I've gone through all my discards. I never got a good hand. All my shit has been fucking. Oh, my deck had 19 nines in it and was totally set up for playing 4 and 5 of a kinds. Somehow, all this time, all through the 3 discards, I wound up with 2 nines. Cool, I have a pair. It's not going to be enough. Or, yeah, you can only play each hand once. Or once you only play a hand, that's the only hand you can keep playing. That one's fucked me a few times, where it's been like, I need 3 of a kinds, and I don't get 3 of anything until after I've been like, well, now I have to play something, play like a 2 pair, and it's like, oh, here's 3 kings. It's like, fuck you, game.
right when they're absolutely useless.
Yep, here's 3 kings. You can't play them together though.
Yeah, like some of those like stipulations, because those were just on like the boss rounds, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Some of those really like fucked me. Like I very rarely lost in the early rounds because it was pretty like the first couple of rounds, like generally pretty easy to knock them out.
Yeah.
But man, like every once in a while, I would just I'd get like the worst luck with that and would just get totally decimated.
An early wall boss can suck. That's the one that doubles the normal amount of points you would need. And it's like, oh, well, if you haven't gotten like any jokers yet and you run into that on like the 3rd round, it's like, oh, shit. I'm not going to be able to get that many points unless I get real lucky.
And that game is fun.
It's incredibly well designed.
Yeah. Like, there's a reason why like those guys kept getting offers to like sell, and at least the last time I heard them talk about it, like they just weren't interested in it, like which is cool. Like they could sell that, make a whole bunch of money, and walk away, and they didn't at the time.
Yep.
Rich, do you got another one?
Yeah. So I guess another little bit of again, this is not something that was new this year, but it's something I did this year that we can talk about. It was my 3-year stream anniversary celebration that was incredible success, surprisingly, of doing the Super Mario Moon Rush. Something that
just this year.
That was this year. That I don't think anyone's ever really done something like that before. That for anyone who doesn't remember, the amount of the game I played was based on donations, subs, and whatnot that came in from all my viewers and whatnot. We ended up having to get 940 power moons or some shit like that. I ended up getting
what was like the total number of moons in that game? Was it 999?
No, there's 999. Technically there's like 1500, but it stops counting at 999. Because you can just keep buying them up to a certain extent. But it like you literally legitimately stops counting at 999. And it's it was a fun time. I had a blast doing it. Mario Odyssey is a great game. I've never actually gotten all the moons or stars in a Mario game before, so I was excited to do that. Been trying to figure out ways to top that this year. I have an idea. Maybe I can talk with you guys about it during this. But like, I had a lot of fun, and it was a surprising success. That I was shocked that it got that like people were that into it. And it lasted close to 2 months. Because of how many power, it was at least a minimum a month, if not more. And it was great. I felt so good being able to complete all the moons.
It was the first week of June, right? Is when your stream happened. Yeah. I think you did go till at least mid-July, so like month and a half.
Yeah, something like that.
Because you generally like you made really good progress for a while there, but then when you got to a couple of them. They really they were the harder ones, and you weren't getting as many in a stream. Yeah, I think you were streaming like once or twice a week.
It was once a week. It was so the first weekend it was all weekend. So it started Saturday. It was like Friday, Saturday, or it was Saturday and Sunday for a minimum of 12 hours each day. And then after that, it was just on Sundays, and roughly between 8 and 12 hours each time I streamed. So, like, there would be days where I would walk away after getting 100, 200 power moons. And then there'd be a day where, like, I only got 60 today. Or something, especially when it came later. But shockingly, the hard moons, there was 1 or 2 moons that maybe took me close to an hour to get. Maybe 3. But other than that, the rest of them, they didn't take too incredibly long to do. I will never do that again. Never do that again. Get all the power moons in that game, just because some of the worst the two moons were incredibly terrible to get, and one of them isn't even like a skill challenge as much, like pressing the jump button, properly timing that shit. It was just doing fucking volleyball for 100 volleys. That was the worst.
Some of those do suck. It's the volleyball and jump rope, right?
So jump rope, I cheesed it. You can cheese it. They never made it so that you can't cheese it. You can actually you can glitch out one of the that's in New Donk City, and there's one of the things you can do is write the word Mario, and that gets you a power moon. Well, you can actually, with like the mini bike, or with the what's it called, the scooter, and two of the letters, you can actually glitch out the M out of the zone that it's in, and then walk around the whole of New Donk City on that M. So what you do is you glitch that M out, you take it over, you walk it to the jump rope, and then you get on top of it, and they spin the jumps. And you can, the jump rope, I don't know how you're supposed to get it without cheating. I don't know how you're supposed to get it without cheating. It goes so fast. So fast. The other one was, there was a level that you lose the ability to use Cappy. And what you're normally supposed to do to get this second power moon, there's 2 power moons in it. What you're normally supposed to do is you get to the end, you get the first power moon, you drop down, you throw your cap onto a giant bullet bill, and you go all the way to the end of the level and crash into the wall, and you get your other power moon. In this one, you don't have Cappy. And so you have to drop down and have the bullet bill get fired at you and follow you. And you have to jump where these blocks are literally just far enough apart to where you have to hit from edge to land, to run 2 steps, to then jump from edge to edge, like 5 or 6 times. Took me so many tries to do. I ended up actually having to switch controllers, because it turns out that there's a bit more of a delay on my Pro controller than there was on like the Joy-Cons or some shit like that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so once I did that switch and went to the Joy-Cons or switched out my controller, I was it was either that or there was something else that I think might have. I don't think it was my capture card, but there was something else that might have caused my delay, like a minor bit of a delay. And like I was able to finally get it. I'm like, I'm never doing this again. Fuck this one. That one sucked. Like there were some hard power moons to get, but that one was the worst because like you needed to hit it perfectly. But yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast. What I'm thinking for this year, you guys tell me what you think about this. I'm obviously gonna have to change numbers on percentage of the total that we would get, but Elden Ring has almost 300 bosses in the game.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But that's all I'm going to say. You can figure it out from there. Boss Rush. Boss Rush with Elden Ring. However many subs, donations I get, totals however many bosses I have to go fight. I think you have to fight a minimum of like 10 bosses to actually beat the game. But yeah, there's like almost, and that includes the DLC, but the DLC only added like an additional 40 bosses. So base game has somewhere between like 240 and 260 bosses in it. I can't remember.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of bosses in Elden Ring. So I'm thinking of doing like I want to do a 1-to-1 with 1 sub equals 1 boss, but then it's going to have to be a little bit more like 5 subs would be 3 bosses instead or something like that. Or like gifted, like I can't, that's why I don't know if I can do a 1-to-1 because those bosses can be a long time and that's a big ass fucking game. So like I don't want that to consume my life for 2 months while I'm trying to get all 300 bosses. So like the purchase ratio is going to have to be different than a 1-to-1 like it was sort of in Mario Odyssey. So okay. I have to figure all that out. I don't really know what I'm going to do because I've not been able to figure out a way to top the 999 power moon. I haven't been able to.
So here's one thing I will say. While I think the like doing like a from game could work, I think Mario worked because it's such like a universal thing that people can enjoy.
Elden Ring is still huge.
It is, but like I don't know how many people will like donate just to see you get frustrated playing Elden Ring. You know what I mean?
I know, I get it. But Elden Ring, people still love watching Elden Ring. It's insane.
They do. They like I absolutely agree. I just think it's more like what people want to like throw money towards. And if it's going to be 2 months of you just having a bad time, I don't know that is necessarily going to draw people in.
Yeah. Like, I got to figure that out, because there's also, and this is why, like, if I do it that way, the ratio is going to have to be not 1-to-1. And that's because, like, 999 power moons, they're like back to back to back sometimes. Whereas, like, the bosses could be 20, 30 minutes apart from each other. Like, you'd have to travel to get to each boss. You'd have to take some time to get to each boss. And then each boss is going to take time.
Exactly.
So it's something I'm playing with. I don't know what else I would do. I have no idea what else I want to do for my birthday this year, or not birthday, for my anniversary this year. I have to start thinking about it and planning it. But that's another like pseudo honorable mention of like something that's not really new that I did this year.
But still, that was a cool thing, even if the game wasn't new.
Yeah,
nice. So what is my next one? All right, so next one I have is the trip back to Japan that Erica and I took. It was cool, like we had gone once right before COVID, and kind of knew what we wanted to see this time and do this time. Whereas last time it was just kind of like looking stuff up online and just kind of winging it. We had a much better kind of like game plan and didn't like overdo it in any like crazy way. And like we got to go to the Nintendo World down in Osaka, which was just like it was a cool experience because last time we went, we didn't go to Osaka. And like to be fair, like it's not like we really spent time in the city, but we knew like how well the trains kind of operated, so we had no issues like taking like the 3 or 4 trains we needed to just get dropped off directly inside of the park, or like what's the thing called at Universal? City Walk? Is it City Walk at Universal?
Yeah.
At their version of like the City Walk, and we just had a hotel right there for the night, and like we got there, we checked in, went to the park for the day. Found out after we did not plan it well. We found out after we got there that the Nintendo Land didn't actually. You couldn't just go into there. You had to like you didn't have to pay for a ticket, but you had to have like a separate like pass to go in there. And they were sold out, but they do like lotteries throughout the day for like specific time frames. And like once you go in, you don't have to leave. Like, but the problem is if you leave, you can't go back in. So you kind of have to go in there, do everything you want to do in the section, and then leave. Mm-hmm. But we got lucky, and like we kind of went over there first thing, found out that it was like that. Went onto the app and were able to like sign up for like lotteries, and got one like 2 hours later for like. Kind of late in the night. It was like the 5 to 7 slot, and the park closes at 8. So we got to like kind of wrap the night up going into Nintendo Park, and like they did such a good job in that park. It was really cool to see. I don't know what the U.S. parks look like because we haven't seen those, but if they look half as good as the Japanese one, like damn, like giving Disney a run for their money with their like Imagineering shit. But other than that, like just being over there is just cool. Like going through like we stayed in Akihabara, so like we went into like a bunch of just like silly like game and anime stores as we were wandering around. We got to hang out with Matt and Jess while we were there, see their new house that they bought since the last time we were there. Got lost on a train because we weren't paying attention and went like 4 stops past them, and then had to like double back to get back. But again, fuck. Google Maps over there is so fucking useful with the trains because like it tells you the trains are color coded. Most of them like as long as you're still like in the proximity to like a major area have English on the signs. The platforms are all numbered, so like numbers are universal. And Google Maps will tell you like the color, the number, the name, and also what fucking like car to get in to be at the closest to like your destination when you like arrive. So that you're not like wandering and lost trying to go through the stations. Because some of their train stations, like just in Tokyo, like there's all like the stations around Tokyo. They're all kind of big and mazy, similar to like a Penn Station in New York. Like you can easily get lost in these just trying to find your way. And some are bigger than others. Like Tokyo Station is like the big one because that also has the Shinkansen lines. So like it's real easy to get fucking lost in those stations if you don't know where you're going. And like the fact that the app's just like, oh yeah, get on the 3rd car, and like every spot is numbered because the cars stop in the same fucking spot every time. And then, like, when you get out, just get on that first stairwell, and you'll be at the door you need to get to your destination.
Man, rail. I wish the United States used it more.
Dude, it's so good over there. Like, it's insane.
It's wild how, like, yeah, we'd have to put a couple $1 billion down to get good rail infrastructure in this country. But, like, there's things like going down south. If we had, like, a Shinkansen to go down south, I'd be able to take vacations more often and shit like that. Like, I don't want to fuck a plane. I don't want to go on a plane.
Yeah, like, yeah,
it's just it's nuts. Like, I don't want to take a train ride down to friggin' Florida, and it takes me a day and a half just to get there. You're like, no, I could get there in 3 hours on a high speed rail. Like, yes. Why don't we do this?
Yeah, and it's definitely like. So I forget exactly the distances and the times, but Tokyo to like Kyoto and Osaka is like between 5 and 7 hours driving. On the train, depending on which like type of Shinkansen you ride, because there's a few different like speeds for them. It's between like 2 and 3 hours, like tops. I want to say it was 3 hours to get from Tokyo to Osaka. On the middle speed train, and that's like driving from here to Boston, to give you an idea. So it would be like taking a train, and the train to I know this because I had to take one a couple years ago for work. It's a 6.5 hour train ride, even from here to Boston, in under like 3 hours, or less.
I went from DC to Philly, and it was 4 hours.
Okay, that's a shitty train. I've done that one.
As someone who's planning a trip from DC or from Philly to DC, I was looking at the Amtrak. It's an hour and 20 minutes.
All right, maybe I was overestimating. It was also snowing that day, so it was a pretty rough day.
Okay,
but
that's also
But yeah, no, I watched this show on YouTube called Jet Lag the Game. I don't know if either of you have heard of it.
Nope.
But it's 3 friends that they go around the world, and like they play tag, or they play hide and seek, or they did a race from the highest northernmost point of the United States to the southernmost point of continental United States, so Alaska to Florida. And they do all these. They do like games with it, and they're currently in the season where they're doing hide and seek across all of Japan, and you can go from one of the northernmost points of Japan to Tokyo in less than 3 hours. So the Iwata Prefecture, which is it's not the northernmost Japan, but it's very far north of like the main island of Japan. Iwata to Tokyo Station in less than 3 hours. Because what they do is they have 3 hours after they catch somebody to then go to their hiding point. And you're able to just get halfway across the country in 3 hours.
Yeah, no, like the trains are incredible, and like the Shinkansen are expensive. Like it's like $150-ish one way, I believe. That might be a round trip though. But when you're traveling as like a tourist, they sell like rail passes and stuff that are good for almost all of the trains in Tokyo. At least all of like the regional trains, I guess I should say. They're not good for like the subway, but I think we only had to take the subway we took the subway like 3 times. And much like around here, it's like $1.20 for like a subway ticket. Like it's not a big deal. But those rail passes are also good for a lot of city buses in different cities, and also the Shinkansens. And you can actually like book those like the rides on the Shinkansens. So like we did. Just like we did last time, we took a trip from Tokyo to Kyoto for the day. And we actually got a tour guide for that one, because last time we went, like we wanted to see all like the shrines and temples and like cool stuff. Didn't really know the best way to get to them, and also the few that we did get to had like everything's in Japanese. Like you can't really read any of like the signs and plaques to see what stuff's about. So we like did like a private tour guide, and like surprisingly like affordable too. Like for how long, like I want to say like it was like a 3 or 4 hour like walking tour, but like the dude just like had us take trains. He's like, yeah, I have a train pass. Like I will help you guys buy the tickets if you need to. And we'll hop on the trains to get where we need to go. It'll save a bunch of time, bunch of walking, so that we can spend more time like wandering around like the shrines and temples and like places I want to take you. And then I think that was the only time we took a cab. We took a cab from the last place we went to the train station on the way home because we needed to. Also, it looks like Erica has now taken Kaylee on a walk, and Ben will not stop barking if I don't go tell him I'm home. Yeah. So let's do this. I don't have a ton else to say about the trip to Japan. It was just awesome. Like, we definitely want to go back again at some point after we like check out some other places. But, like, if anybody ever has a chance to go there, it is so worth it. Like, it's super easy to get around there. You don't need to speak Japanese. The food's amazing. Like, tons of cool, like, there's cool pop culture. There's cool, like, history. Like, it's just so worth it. You could spend a whole week in Tokyo and, like, not see the same place twice. Actually, it sounds like Benny stopped, so that's a good sign. But yeah, Japan, it's awesome. I'm glad we went back. I'm glad we got to see friends while we were there, and also just got to like experience stuff that we didn't know to look for the first time we were there. Drew, what else do you got?
I mean, I could talk about some like albums that came out this year that are real good.
Go for it.
So I don't remember the order that they came out, although actually this one, I know Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties and Lieu of Flowers came out very early in the year. That album is fucking awesome. It's so good. I was glad to see them play a lot of it a few times over the year. Super duper good. Sweet Pills Star Child LP, EP, whatever. It's like 6 songs. Sweet Pill's amazing. They have new stuff coming out next year. I think a full length album coming out next year. Sweet Pill is awesome and also a local band, so super cool to see them. Origami Angel had a new album this year that was really good. That's why they did that tour. Check them out. Kill Lincoln's No Normal album is a fucking banger, and one of the few albums that has someone skanking on it audibly.
That's hilarious.
I mean, the one guy in the band, Drew, like he's their hype man.
That's what he does.
Yeah, that's what he does. So the fact that they got to audibly include him on the album was cool. And then Cliff Diver's Birdwatching album. I know that was a later in the year one. It's real good. It's sad to see 2 of their members leave. I don't know if they're going to replace them or not, but they put out a banger album before they left. So,
which is awesome.
It was super good.
Turns out, music, good.
Yep.
I unfortunately, like, I would talk more about them. Like, I listen to some of those bands, but I don't know what those albums are to even like tell you tracks off of them.
Yeah, I mean, I could if you want some. I mean, in Lieu of Flowers.
I was gonna say, are there good songs off of them that you want to mention?
Me, in Lieu of Flowers, the title track is super duper good. Let me pull up the different albums. No Normal. Let's see what's really good. Honestly, the first single they put out from that, I'm Fine, I Lied, probably my favorite song on there. It just hits real good. Let's see, Birdwatching, what was the best one on there? I really like what was it? Going for the Garbage Plate's real good. Sarah Loves Days Gone, that song's real good. The first song on there, 30 Flirty and Thriving, super duper good.
That's a fun track title thing.
Yeah. To pull up the Sweet Pill album. Honestly, again, title track for that one, Star Child, super duper good. Super good live. That band, just in general, is super good live. And then what was the Origami Angel? Helps if I can type. Probably AP Revisionist History is real good, but also so is HM07 Waterfall.
Oh, you're right. I totally forgot. Like, that was like the thing there. So I listened to some of those tracks I've talked about. Like, those are fun tracks.
Mm-hmm. Wretched Trajectory is also real good. So those 3 on that album are bangers.
Nice.
But yeah, music's fun.
Rich, what do you got?
I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine is fucking amazing.
That's the one movie I saw this year. It was pretty fun.
I actually that is actually a thing I have on my list too.
It was an amazing fucking movie. Like, and like, it was really nice because I did the whole X-Men lead up to it as well. And had been able to watch the other 2 Deadpool movies before seeing it, and it was great. I'm just gonna add it on here as an honorable mention, even though I haven't gotten to see it yet. Sonic 3, I'm hearing it's fantastic fucking shit about that movie. So like, that's also added.
It's funny they keep getting better with the Sonic movies. Apparently,
like
the first one was fine. The second one was like actually pretty good, and apparently like the third one is also really good.
Yeah. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine. It was just an overall. It was a trip. It was so fun to watch, and it was so fun to get into. Like, I had absolutely nothing but fun with it.
Yeah, so Erica hadn't seen it yet, so we watched it yesterday. And like even seeing it a second time, like it actually still held up in a way that, like a lot of the more recent comic book stuff just doesn't. Like, I don't ever have to watch the Eternals again. Like, I saw it once. Yeah. Like, that was more than enough. Same thing like Black Widow. But like this movie was like, because even watching again, like there were like silly little references and stuff that I didn't catch the first time or didn't remember catching the first time.
Yeah. And that's that's one of the things, like you mentioned, not having to watch the Eternals again, and like that's one of the things that kind of sucks about like comic book movies in general. Like I want to do a Marvel rewatch, but at this point, not half, but there are a good number of movies that I'm just like, I don't want to watch these again. But like, kind of like it, I don't miss out on not watching them, but at the same time, like the Eternals is probably done. Like, I doubt they're actually bringing them to the MCU fully. They've never mentioned the fucking Titan coming out of.
Yeah, exactly.
The what's it called? So like, but also I thought the Eternals wasn't that bad.
It's not. It wasn't that it was bad. It's just it wasn't. There was nothing special about it. Like it was a fine movie. It was honestly a little too long and a little too disjointed with the way they tried to tell the story. But like it was totally fine. But I just don't ever feel the need to see it again.
Yeah.
Whereas like Deadpool and Wolverine, it was just like, I'm like, hey, do you want to watch this? Like, it's on the streaming. Like, you didn't see it yet. And Erica's like, yeah, sure. And watching it again, like, I still laughed at a lot of like the dumb jokes and stuff. The action was still fun to watch. Like,
yeah,
those two have a ton of chemistry together. And yeah, like
until
even
he's
like
90. Until he's 90, he's gonna be Logan forever.
Yeah, and like that movie, that is a movie where like the first two Deadpool movies didn't have a lot of like drama to them. Like they really were action and comedy. Like, yeah. But like this one managed to actually mix in like some like moments in there that were like dramatic and kind of like amped up the feelings for what was going on. And then immediately doing like a dick joke and having it not kind of feel just totally broken because it still fit the characters.
Yeah. And then Hot Pool was fantastic. I loved Hot Pool.
Hot Pool? Good
Deadpool. It was not ugly Deadpool.
Nice pool.
Nice pool. Okay. I loved him. And I can make meta jokes too. The proposal. That's freaking great. I love it.
Yeah, and again, it was fun to watch again. And like I'd forgotten that there was the little like 30-second fight with Sabretooth. At like near the beginning ish of the movie, like right after they end up in the wastelands.
Yeah.
And then like just seeing how many just random fucking characters they pulled from like the old Fox movies.
Yeah. It was an homage to Fox, to the Fox films, which was great.
But like they like kind of went pretty deep on some of those, and I'm like, you know what, good for you guys. And even with the Deadpool corpse at the end, like they pulled a lot of random Deadpools that have probably only been seen once in the comics.
Yeah. Yeah. It was such a good movie. And to be honest, that's one of the last like, oh yeah, this is part of the best of. Anything else I have is more of like a disappointing or this was good but also bad. Those are really
way to be just a negative Nancy. Jeez.
Look, 2024 sucked.
I mean,
it sucked for me. Like I said, I spent almost 4 to 6 months just stuck in my house.
But now you can walk again.
I mean, I could walk
full range of motion.
No, not with full range of motion. With less range of motion.
Then why did you do this?
Because I don't feel pain like I did before.
Well, there you go.
My ankle's not giving out is the thing.
There you go.
But my other ankle may at any point now. Because they both had the same surgery around the same time. And so any point in time now, my other ankle may just start giving out. Gotta love being broken.
it happens.
Yeah.
It does happen. Cool. All right. So Deadpool Wolverine. Albums that. What is next on mine? All right. Next thing I have is just another thing that I did. Going back to the Not Scary Farm for Halloween was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. It was one of those, like I talked about it in October when we went. The first time we got to do that, we didn't know what it really was going in because Erica's family had gotten us the passes when we were in California, and we were just fucking exhausted. And we didn't realize how tired we would be from driving for like 15 hours. But boy, driving for 15 hours and then immediately going to Hollywood Horror Nights, fucking tuckers you out a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So like, we enjoyed what we did get to see the first time, but like, we didn't stay very late. We didn't do all of the haunted houses. We kind of did as many as we could before we just had to leave. So this time, like, going down a day early, like, getting a hotel, like, right there at the park, like, we saw her family, we grabbed dinner, like, when we got there that night, and then we saw them, like, the following afternoon, too. But, like, planning it out better, where, like, we had just Friday was a day to do that. And, like, we did a little bit more, like, we actually drove down to San Diego, because it's only, like, an hour and a half drive from where we were at. And, like, wandered around San Diego for, like, a couple hours before driving back. So, like, we didn't, like, exert ourselves too much. We had plenty of energy for Not Scary Farms. And then, like, doing all, like, the haunted houses and seeing just... They put a lot of work into it. And they actually... I think other than, like, one or two of the mazes, they just did a really good job of, like, pacing the groups. And we actually saw a couple times where they had, like, the little, like, clicker counters so they could count how many people were going through, and also, like, stopwatches. So they were, like, letting, like, a certain number of people in and then holding the line for, like, 2 minutes so that there was, like, a gap before the next group. So you didn't just end up with 300 people all just right up on top of each other, not really getting to experience any of the stuff. And a lot of the other big ones, like, around us don't really do that. They're just kind of like, all right, everybody in, and, you know, you miss stuff. And, like, Universal was the worst for that. Like, the Universal stuff had, like, a super high production value, but they don't try and, like, limit how many people go in. It's just a constant stream of people that they just wave in. So you never really get to see anything unless you just happen to be at the front of a group. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it also, Knott's Berry Farm actually just seems like a pretty cool, like, park if, like, you're looking for, like, a not Disney park to go to. It's got a bunch of rides. It's got, like, some cool, like, theme sections with, like, a boardwalk section and, like, a Roaring '20s section. The food's actually not bad. Like, they don't have a ton of, like, vegetarian options, which is surprising, but they have, like, enough that you can, like, get by. And, like, they also have stuff that, like, definitely gluten-free places for, like, someone like you, Rich.
Nice.
Like, they had one place that they just did, you could do them as bread bowls, with, like, mac and cheese and stuff, or you could do, like, baked potatoes. And it was like, just, it was a big baked potato with, like, all the toppings. And, like, that's what we ended up getting while we were there, and they were really good. So,
nice.
Yeah, fun times all around. I don't know that we'll necessarily do that again, but, like, also, I wouldn't be opposed to us doing that again in a few years. Like, 'cause much like a lot of the stuff around here, they don't cycle out, like, every attraction every year. Like, I think there were 2 this year that had been there in 2022 when we were there. And then most of the other ones seemed like they were new, or at least updated to be a little bit different. But, you know, like, maybe in a handful of years, like, if we got nothing else going on, we'll go try it again. So, yeah. Drew, you got anything else?
You know, I'll give a shout out to one last thing. John Boy Media, they have a whole bunch of, like, side channels. Like, their main stuff is sports, and its very main is baseball. But they have, like, their warehouse games where they do a bunch of, like, they literally bought a warehouse and they play a bunch of different sports in their warehouse, like dudes who just have space and want to make up sports to play. But the thing I really want to talk about is they've been playing a game where they watch Guts and draft the kids.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's Jimmy and Jake, the 2, like, co-founders, and then one other guy who's mainly on their gaming stuff, Joe's, is on a team with, like, the producer of the show, Zach. And so they've changed up rules throughout the year as they've done different seasons. They've just started their 10th season today. But they've been doing mostly 8-episode seasons where first 3 episodes, each of them will have the first pick, a second pick, and a third pick across the 3 episodes. Then the 4th episode, they do the draft in the reverse order of standings, and then do the same setup for episodes 5 through 8. Oh my god, Guts is fucking so chaotic. Like, you forget about it.
I've seen Guts, but I feel like that tracks.
Yeah, like, some of the kids are just a mess. Some of the games are like, why? No, this is terrible. Why did anyone think about this? Some things you didn't realize as a kid, like, oh, they've kind of rigged this game so that the person in last place wins. There's one where they are on a surfboard and have to like body surf and grab little buoys that are floating. There's so many times where the person in last place is starting with like a bunch of them just right next to them, whereas the person who was in first place going in that event seems like they have to swim halfway across the pool to get to 2. And it's like, how is this so rigged?
And somehow these kids are so bad at it that the person in first place still manages to win.
Yeah.
All I gotta say to that is thanks Obama and No Child Left Behind. That's really all. Even though this is all before all of that.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely like it's a product of the idea of like, I hate to complain with this, but like, because it makes me sound a little boomer, but it's the product of the idea of the participation trophy. Like, you're making it seem like this person is actually doing better than they are, so that they don't feel bad for continuing to participate when they don't have a chance to win.
I mean, whether or not it is actually rigged is hard to tell. Sometimes it definitely feels like it. Other times it's like, no, you're making this up that it's rigged. And yeah, no, this person just happens to actually be good at this thing. But
I'm sure because it's a kids show, there was some psychology behind the idea of, hey, we got to make sure everyone's having fun. And even though it's Nickelodeon, so they don't give a shit. They still were like, we got to make it's TV. It's like, you got to make sure the games are close, and it always comes down to one game or something like that.
Oh, but there are plenty where it does not like it was over after the second game. There's still 2 more games and the aggro crag to do, and it's like, this did not matter at all. But
yeah,
it did also make me realize they didn't win anything on Guts.
They won stuff.
Did they?
They won a piece of the aggro crag. They wanted a piece of the aggro crag. The winner gets a piece of the aggro crag, and they always got like admission into Universal Studios, Orlando, Florida. And
I'm pretty sure they already had to be in Universal Studios to get. Well,
they filmed at Universal Studios, but they would win more tickets. Like,
okay,
they would have to spend their whole day there. But they
unlike like Legends of the Hidden Temple, where they talk about what the prizes are, like, it doesn't seem like there's prizes other than the piece of the aggro crag. Yeah,
the winner gets a piece of the aggro crag, and I'm sure they got moon shoes or some shit like that too. Like, I'm sure they got the same generic shoes. They got the same generic prizes as the as from Legends of the Hidden Temple and whatnot. Like, I'm sure they got actual prizes, but they probably set it up in a different way to where it wasn't like, or maybe the show that you're watching cuts it out. Because there's no need to have that in there.
But I mean, like they cut out like the very end where they're like going around, like running the track or whatever. But again, like throughout the episode,
they got medals, didn't they?
Yeah, but again, like Legends of the Hidden Temple or whatever, they like got prizes. There was things they won beyond that, and I'm like, did they get anything for being on Guts at all, other than like the trinkets, basically? And I'm like, wow, I don't know that they did.
According to whatever Google's meta thing is you're right. They just got the medals.
Wow.
But this is and this is on their on the Nickelodeon Guts wiki. The player with the most points after all 5 events won the game and received a gold Guts medal and a faux glowing piece of the aggro crag. Second place was silver. Third place was bronze. The contestants are introduced in the breaks between. Okay, yeah.
Real quick, Drew. Who was doing this again?
To John Boy. Their YouTube that it's on is John Boy and Jake TV.
Okay,
but it's part of the John Boy group of YouTube channels. It's so fucking funny. I cannot recommend watching it more because the chaos of just watching the guts is amplified by the three of them getting way too into how poorly or well their kids are doing, and it's hilarious. The episode that came out today, I laughed out loud at a bit that happened, and I had to go real quick into the YouTube app and clip this like 10-second segment of shit that happens and sent it to Sarah and one of our other friends, and I was like, you need to see this. I'm dying.
Where are they actually even watching this? Is it just on is
I
Guts
don't
just
know.
on YouTube or something?
Probably on Paramount.
It might be on Paramount.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
But I don't know. They found them somewhere and are going through them. And oh boy, again, they're up to like season 3 of actual Guts. Like, I don't know how many episodes of Guts there are. Okay, Wiki says 160. And let's see if they're season 10 episodes.
Yep.
I don't know how many.
Is it all on Paramount? That's
Guts and Global Guts are on Paramount.
Cool.
Oh, right. There were 2 different renditions of Guts.
Mm-hmm.
But
Global Guts, they actually had like a country standings.
Mm-hmm.
So like at the beginning of every episode, they would show like how many medals each country had won. Put these kids up against each country.
Oh, apparently there was only 1 season of Global Guts.
But that
checks out.
I mean, look, they were Nickelodeon seasons. There were probably 89 episodes of it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That it was probably like 30 or 40 episodes.
32.
Well,
episodes.
it looks like there's only like 4 seasons of Guts, and there's 160 episodes of Guts. So.
Yeah, because they can bust these out one a day because they're different contestants every day. They bust one out each day for a year, and boom, they never have to work again.
Oh shit! Nick Arcade is also on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
Oh shit! Let's go.
So all the old school games like Nick Arcade, Double Dare, yeah, all the old school Nickelodeon games I'm sure are on here.
All right, here's what I say. We need to do the like watch-in of either Legends of the Hidden Temple or Nick Arcade and put it on our YouTube.
I would look
because Nick Arcade is 3 teams, right?
Nick Arcade is 3 teams. Legends of the Hidden Temple starts with 8 and ends with
I thought Nick Arcade is only 2 teams.
Is Nick Arcade only 2? I swear it's 3. But
I think it's all just head to head. So I think it is just
right.
2.
You're right. It's 2 teams of 2.
Okay, I thought it was team and a red team. 2.
But yeah, we can do Nick Arcade and all the fake fucking video games that they have on there. I always wanted to play the Addams Family video game. Or like, look, I'm totally down for that. It would be a lot of editing work, so you guys are gonna have to pay me for it.
No. I mean, I'm saying not do Nick Arcade. I'm saying we watch Nick Arcade and draft the team.
Well, yeah, but if you want to do it on YouTube or anything, it would be a lot of editing work.
I mean,
to do all that and then cut a video behind it and whatnot, and then I'd have to figure out how to actually like rip it from there and hopefully not break any laws by doing all this and whatnot. I'm totally down for it to be similar to these guys with games that aren't sports based. I'm totally down for it. Like I said,
play Nick Arcade. There is a thing that I forget the name of the Twitch. Smite. I'll find it. There's a dude that basically still does modern Nick Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, they were doing it on Giant Bomb for a while.
Oh, right. I do remember that. I remember the show. I never watched it though.
Yeah.
I forgot that was kind of like the thing for it.
I mean, it's like it's Nick Arcade. Like, it's the same whole, they are on a map, they go a direction, then a mini game happens. But yeah, watching Guts, it's fucking hilarious. They're like 30-minute episodes. They go up Mondays and Wednesdays. I laugh every single episode.
Nice. All right, Rich.
Yeah.
What's next?
All right, so the second most disappointing thing that I played and did in 2024 is going to have to be Helldivers. Helldivers 2.
I mean, I agree with you on this.
I had a lot of faith I had a lot of like, I guess faith or like hope for this game. It had good legs to run on. I watched a ton of people playing it. It looks like a fantastic fucking time. But like, I didn't realize when watching like some of the Let's Plays, how much bullshit they cut out and how boring the game can be from just running from end to end, and how incredibly repetitive the game can be. Let's not even add all the bullshit about the like PSN accounts for people who don't have it on PlayStation and all that bullshit. And the fact that finally, after what, almost a year of release, they finally added a third enemy faction into the game, like 2 weeks ago. It was incredibly disappointing. I had so much faith and hope for this game, and I ended up falling apart after less than 20 hours, which is just, like, it was upsetting. Because, like, when I played it, some of what I played was great, and then I'm like, well, this is just the same mission. And this is just the same mission. And, I need to get all of these collectibles to upgrade my ship. So I either need to play a fuck ton, or I need to be in every mission for at least 2 hours. And neither of those are something that I'm, like, super interested in with this game.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like, I don't mind doing a dive here or there or whatever, but, like, I feel like it really was incredibly disappointing. And I want to try the new fighting the new faction. I love the whole meta humor about it and everything else. It's just the gameplay loop was not good, and it's unfortunate. It was probably one of the second most disappointing games I played this year.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it has legs. It has legs. It just can't run on them. I
was gonna say, they're not the legs that you're looking for.
It can slowly crawl on them, and that's like a game reference joke, like how slow your characters move. Again, a lot of the meta commentary, meta humor, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean that is a bummer, and like I feel like that, like people were super into that game for like a month, and then it did kind of just die.
And then it just died because support. It died because of the whole requiring PSNs, where a lot of the player base could not play anymore if they pushed that through. So many people like stopped playing the game. So many people, I think, were able to get refunds for it because they were in a country that they weren't going to be able to play it for anymore. And then they took that away, and everyone was like, "Well, you already fucked us anyway. We don't care. We don't trust you." And then it took them another 8 months before they updated the game to have new enemies to fight. But they keep making the players weaker, literally weaker.
Yeah,
the enemies continue to evolve based on how the players are playing and how the players defeat them. They continue to make the enemies stronger, but the players' weapons are getting nerfed. Mm-hmm. It's not just the enemies are getting stronger; they are actively making the players' weapons. And it's just like that. I don't like that. And to get anywhere in the game, you have to play in the hardest difficulty, basically. And I'm like, this difficulty is not that fun. And I can't make my divers any stronger than they currently are without having to play for 30, 40, 50 more hours.
Which just doesn't sound like fun.
No.
Nope.
Well, it happens. Hey, at least it's not a game that you made some like weird commitment for, you know?
Yeah.
You didn't have to like either like back out of the commitment or like suffer through it for like an extended period.
Yeah.
It was you. All right. My last thing, the Stormlight Archive book that I finished a couple weeks ago, Wind and Truth. Kind of the culmination of basically a decade's worth of books. And even more because like it ties into some books in his larger catalog that date back 15, 16 years. Which is really cool. I talked about the book a bunch like 2 weeks ago, so I'm not going to dive into it, but kind of that is the first of his like major releases outside of the secret projects that he did that I actually read kind of like as it released too. So it was just really cool to kind of like pick that up and just experience it shortly after it came out. There weren't like any spoilers really anywhere for it yet. Yeah, just super enjoyable book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. My brother's gotten into them. He's been listening to them on audio.
Oh, nice.
And he's leaving for work for 2 weeks on Monday. Literally, we're supposed to actually get snow around 3:00, and he leaves like a few hours before. He's set to leave a few hours before we start getting snow. And so he's got 4 hours left on the second book, and he wants to start the third on his drive down to Virginia.
And so, like, of the Stormlight Archive?
Yeah.
Nice. I'll have to text him and see how he's actually enjoying them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're fun books. They're incredibly long, but they are fun.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Drew, do you have a last one?
Nah.
Well, fuck you then. Rich,
Yeah.
what is your last one?
Well, I hinted at this a few weeks ago, and I hinted at it an hour or two ago. Probably one of the better games I played, but also one of the more annoying, frustrating, and disappointing games I played throughout this year was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Okay. Are you going to spoil things?
Yes, I've been. Oh. I even said back then that I was going to spoil it in like 2 months, and I never spoiled it.
That's why I'm asking. I am going to turn off my headphones. Throw a message into the chat when you are done.
Okay. So we've already gone over why I think this game wasn't a complete success because of how much bullshit they added, how much extra shit there is, and how much extra shit you can't do unless you play like New Game Plus or whatever. I'm not going to get into that, but that is incredibly frustrating to me, especially as someone who is sort of a completionist and wants to, if you have it on the map, I'm going to do it. And there's way too much, and it's a lot of bullshit. I'm not going to get back into that. I've already had that conversation a million times, right, Drew? You remember it. I don't need to have that conversation. My probably second biggest complaint about the game is how fucking stupid they did with some of the story beats. Guess who the final boss of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is, Drew?
Fuck, I'm trying to think of where it would end. I don't know.
It ends after Aeris's death. It ends with Aeris's death.
So it ends at the end of Disc 1.
Yes. So, who do you think the final boss is?
I don't remember.
The final boss is fucking mutated Sephiroth. You know, the final boss of Final Fantasy VII before Safer Sephiroth. You know that version before Safer? The One-Winged Angel version? Like, you know, where he's all like fish-like? That is the final boss of fucking Rebirth. And it does make you jump between different... You don't get to put together the teams, because that's how these games... You don't really get to build your team that much. It puts you into a team. You have to have Aerith, even though she's fucking dead, because they do kill her in this. And number one biggest complaint, you get Vincent to join your party and Cid to join your party probably like 3 to 4 hours before this. But they are not playable characters because, and their argument, same as with Red 13, you get them so late in the game that there's no reason to have to learn their game mechanics. We're good, so you're going to get to play as them in the next version of the game. Then throughout the game, you do run around as Zack. But then, during this fucking fight where you're going between two alternate universes, as well as fighting Sephiroth both as Cloud and as Zack, who are not clones of each other, Zack has his own different kind of fucking battle mechanic that they give you a tutorial on just before the fight in the final boss fight of the fucking game.
Nice.
So why are you going to sit here and tell me that you can't develop a battle mechanic for Vincent and fucking Cid, who've been in the story of this game for at least 5 hours, if not more? But you give me a new battle mechanic for a character who you've not been able to play, you've barely been able to play as, if you've played as them at all throughout the game. That's horseshit. That is horseshit, and that is lazy. And like, I would have no problem if Zack and Cloud were fought exactly the same, because then that fight wouldn't have sucked as much as it did. But it sucked, and it was terrible. And then on top of that, when the game ends and you beat it, and like, Aerith is dead, Cloud still sees her and is talking to her as if she's right there, because Cloud is fucking crazy, I guess. And he can't accept that she's dead. And it made, like, they built this game up where, like, it made no sense that she was still going to have to die, but she still had to die. And it was like, it was the most... And again, we're coming from a game from a guy who also made Kingdom Hearts, so of course it's going to be fucking nonsense. But it was the most fucking nonsense and insane thing I've ever played in a game. And like, it really, really just pissed me off after all of that gameplay and all of that frustration from all of that side content I would say at least 50% of that side content was absolute fucking horse stick bullshit. That like, you couldn't have given players the capability to play some of the favorite characters of this game. But you give another character that you've not been able to use this mechanic, his own battle mechanics. which were not intuitive or fun to use, for one fight. One single fucking fight. And it's the last fight of the game. That when you're fighting as him, it's only him and no one else. So you have to heal. You can't have Tifa or Barrett heal you. He has to take his time and fill his ATB bar to heal himself. It was garbage. It was the literal worst boss fight I've ever had in a video game. And like that is where like it brings it down. This is stuff that I couldn't talk about when we first were playing the game because I couldn't spoil it. But this is why I'm also so hard on the game. The final sequences of the game were not fun. And that killed it for me. The rest of the game, I had fun. I thought some of the story changes were cool. Some of like the buffering that they did to add to story or whatever was like, all right, that's fine. That's interesting. Or that's silly. And I had some fun with a little bit of the story throughout the game. And I had fun with the combat. And I had fun with like the gameplay. But all the side bullshit and how that fucking game ended. It was fucking disappointing. It is one of the better games I've played in a long time, but also one of the more disappointing games I've played in a long time. And I hope to God they don't have as much bullshit extra content that they do in 3. They're going to. And I think they've already said that they're going to, if not more. And that's just going to be insane. But how much bullshit is it that you can't give fucking Vincent his own battle mechanics? He's been in the game for several hours, but you give Zack his own battle mechanic for one fight at the very end of the game.
That is odd.
It's dumb. No one I hated when you get Red in Remake, but you don't get to use him. He's there with you for all of the end of the game. Once you rescue him, to the point that you get to the tower, to the point that you leave the tower and go fight Sephiroth, he is with you, but you cannot fight you cannot use him. Like, that is a decent chunk of that end game. It's like a couple of hours. It's not one singular fight. Definitely could have developed a battle mechanic for Red in Final Fantasy Remake, which they already did because he is fighting alongside you, and then just let players use him. But they couldn't do that. It wouldn't have been right to give you control of the character for just a short amount of time. But then you give fucking Zack his own battle mechanic for one fucking fight. Like, you control Zack throughout the game at times, but there was never any real combat until the very end of the game. It made me so mad. And it was so, like, dumb and convoluted. And they were kind of building up to be like, it's going to be a different kind of story. And, like, you're going to change things. And no, you don't change things. Aerith still dies. She still fucking dies. So what's the point? What are you changing? You're now turning what was originally a remake of a game to have a different story and to be an alternate universe into, it is legitimately a remake of not an alternate universe. It is your current universe. It's just the villain knows that there's multiple universes and this has happened before or some shit like that. Who knows? It makes no sense. It's just, I hate it. It was so annoying.
One of these days I gotta get around to actually buying and playing it.
Yeah, just wait. Just wait until the third one comes out, and then set it to easy mode and just breeze your way through it and see how you feel about it.
Maybe.
Do what you can. See if you can look up how Zack fights in the game. See if you can find my stream of when I was beating the game and just see how, like, literally right at the end, it's like, oh, here's how you battle as Zack. It's like, what? Where's this coming from? Like, at no point in time did I say, oh, this is so fucking cool. I said, this makes no sense and I hate this the whole time. And again, maybe I was a little frustrated because I had played that game for however many freaking hours at that point, and all the side content that to me was completely unnecessary and they need to cut out at least half of it. But it was also just like, yeah, that final fight sequence was just bullshit. It was bullshit. But I guess that's all I gotta say. That's just my rant. That's my rant. I needed to get it out there. I've been wanting to talk about it. I've been waiting for him to beat it. And I keep saying he's never going to beat it, because I know he won't. I know he won't. I don't think he's ever going to go back to that game. Maybe when they announce the third one. Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, let's get him back.
Get that all out of your system?
A little bit. I had to relive it. And it's been so long, and I had to relive all that trauma.
Good. You deserve it. You deserve every second of it.
Look, I've been wanting to rant about that ending of that game since I fucking beat it. So, I was respectful to you to not spoil it at all at that time, but it's now been a year. It's time to talk. It's been more than I think it's been to be able to talk about it.
I'm fine. You like just turning my headset off while you ran about it. Like it. I don't mind. Like it's one of those things where like if I got spoiled, like I'm not going to be mad at somebody for it. But if I can, by my own like actions, just avoid the spoiler, like that's all I'm going to do.
Just ask Drew. Was what I said bullshit about what they did with that game?
I mean, in what like I can see why you could think that, but without personally seeing it myself, like shrug. But
I mean, y'all could have seen it when y'all could have seen it when I beat it on stream. It was a year ago.
Yeah, but I haven't beat it myself yet. Someday.
Drew could have seen it when I beat it on stream.
You know, I mean, I could have, but also, at the time, I planned on buying it around when it came out, and then the year just happened,
and you just never got to it.
Yeah,
it's one of those games where like I do want to play it, I just don't feel like turning like stuff on the TV. Like if I could play it on the Switch or the Steam Deck, I probably would. But at this point too, like even if it releases on Steam, I don't want to buy the game again.
That game already plays pretty rough on the PS5. I can only imagine how rough it would play on the Steam Deck.
You just turn all the fucking settings down. It's fine.
But also, I just learned like a month ago that apparently I was playing my PlayStation games on my PS5 on graphics mode and not performance mode.
Oh yeah, I mean that'll also do it. I remember like switching between that game a little bit. I forget. I think I landed on performance mode because it did just feel a little bit better to play.
I generally play all my games on performance mode because I don't really have the monitors set up to be able to play on graphics mode anyway. But at the same time, I want good gameplay. I don't necessarily care what the game looks like.
Yeah,
I just got done playing Immortals Fenyx Rising, which is a 10-year-old game or whatever, some bullshit like that. It came out 4 years ago. It was older than that.
It came out in 2020.
I know we've gone over this a few times. I swear it was on.
No, it's 2020.
It looks like a 10-year-old game, but it is in fact only 4.
Because it looks like Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Oh man, that is actually funny. Even Breath of the Wild, not 10 years old yet. Close. 2 more. It's got 2 more years.
If it were a Naughty Dog game, it would have been remade by now.
Twice.
But
I think that is it for our best ofs.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else?
No.
Good.
Hopefully, that's a show. 2025 is better.
2024 was fine. Just don't get any more ankle surgeries.
It's not even just the ankle surgeries. It's 2024 sucked.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. Everyone's going to have a different year, right?
No, I think we all should have the same year.
I mean, look,
bad shit about this year.
The last 3 months of 2024 were garbage. The first 9 months, 8 months, those were actually pretty good.
I mean, it started to take a turn when my former supervisor got fired and I got a new supervisor.
I mean, that is a personal reason that it sucked, and I get that.
Yeah.
But it's been a pretty shit of a year for me, like personal wise.
But yeah, for you, I do hope that you have a better year in 2025.
Thanks.
And I hope your list next year isn't just Monster Hunter 5 times.
It won't be.
It better not be.
It'll probably be twice at least, because I'm sure there will be a few updates after the game releases of like new monsters. So I'll be like, oh yeah, the base game, and then oh yeah, this monster came out and it was fantastic. Probably not that. I won't do that to you guys. It's probably just going to be. I'm calling it now. It's going to be number 1.
Yeah, I mean that sounds about right.
Yeah.
But I
guess didn't say whether it's number 1 best or number 1 most disappointing, because it could be either.
Maybe both.
It literally could be. It could be either, or you're right. It could be both. But I don't. I very much enjoyed the beta. So I think I'm going to enjoy this one. They're doing some changes that are going to be interesting, and we'll see how it goes.
I kind of hope it's both. I just think that would be funny if you're like, I love this game, but here are 12 things I fucking despise about it.
We'll see.
But yeah, I guess with that, we will wrap things up. Next week, we're going to do our final holiday book club, which is going to be the Muppet Christmas Carol. So be prepared for that. But other than that, if you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of that helps too. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @one_quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo. And you can always send us emails to social@one-quest.com. Rich, what is your streaming?
Twitch.tv/b_walnuts for video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Currently, really don't know what I'm going to be getting into in the next few weeks and months. We'll see what games Matt lets me borrow. So it's either going to be Fires of Rubicon or Ghost of Tsushima. But besides my stream stuff, I want to push you guys towards YouTube. Is it One Quest Video, right?
I just fucking said it.
Was that what One Quest Video?
Yes.
One Quest Video.
Where I posted a review for Landmarks, a game that we got from Floodgate Games. You guys should definitely go check that out. And there's going to be some video content coming out every week for the next few weeks. Definitely go check that out.
I did watch your review. You did a good job.
Agreed.
I have one criticism for your personal video. I believe it was the PAX one.
Yeah. What's that?
Stop changing aspect ratio.
That was an accident.
I figured it only happened a couple of times, but if you do that, you should do the thing where you blur the video in the frame so that you don't go from the skinny vertical to the horizontal.
Yeah, it was. I had realized that as I was cutting it, that oh shit, the first couple of videos and pictures I took were in Letterboxd, and then I did the same with the review. I accidentally did that. I thought I was doing it in Letterboxd and not in top to bottom when I was taking some videos for the box and box stuff. So that was an accident. I'm still working on tweaks. Like I said, it was constructive criticism. The videos were good otherwise. That was just hey, pick an aspect ratio. I was very proud of that PAX video. I was very proud.
It did come out very nice.
Yeah. And then I thought
the review.
I thought the Landmarks video was good. This week coming up, I'm posting a video about a game me and Cobb checked out called Malediction, and I'm going to talk all about that. It's not going to be a review because we don't have review copies, and we only really got to do the demo. So we got the light version of the game, but it's about the game itself. And the Loot Studios, the company that makes it, because this is a really cool concept. That you'll have to check it out to find out. Did you catch the nod to PodQuest that I make at on the review?
I don't think I did.
At the end of the review, I say, I think that's it for me. And then I say, I think that's a show. And then I get to doing...
I did not catch that.
That is our catchphrase now. I think that's a show. We literally say it every episode. So that's just going to be in every video now.
All right. Yeah, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, with all of that said, if you'd like to... Our stuff is linked in the description, as is Richie's pages. So you can go check out his videos of PAX if you're interested in all of his other stuff, if you look in the descriptions.
Yes, please.
But with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you.
Bye.